So I would be lying if I were to say that I did not enjoy Pokemon Legends Arceus, because that game alone is what allowed me to actually have more excitement for Pokemon's future than I've ever had. My biggest issue with Pokemon, with their games specifically, is that every game has been playing it way too safe. The format has never really changed. It's always been the turn-based, like, kind of combat where with you just walk over grass, oh, there's a Pokemon, and oh, there's the gym battles and all this. Like, the format has just never really changed, other than like small, like, little, changes, or like they'll have like some quote unquote gimmick for the game, like how they had Mega Evolutions, which was honestly the best thing that they had, and then they just dropped it. They're like, no, now we got to do Z moves or whatever it was called in Sun and Moon, and then no, we got to do the crystals Pokemon where it changes type and whatever from, I believe that was Scarlet and Violet, and then they had the giant Pokemon from Sword and Shield. Like, it's always like they had to be like, no, we have to do something different for each game, which, okay, fine, little innovations here and there to keep it fresh, but it's just overall the format of Pokemon has not caught my attention as much as it used to. Like, I started to be like, yeah, I am not really excited for every mainline Pokemon anymore, because it's always the same. Like, I look forward to seeing the new Pokemon and their evolutions and such, but then after that I'm like, I'm done. I don't really dabble in the shiny hunting or the PvP or whatever. I just kind of play it and then I move on. But with Legends, even just from the initial teaser and little bits of gameplay when they showed it, where they showed the character in a 3D area, like with Pokemon roaming around and they were sneaking and so on, and I was like, oh my gosh, are they finally making a Pokemon game that's new and innovative? And not only that, but like, I feel like all Pokemon fans have always wanted that dream game where it feels like the anime, or essentially like what like the Pokemon universe really is. Like, the Pokédex like goes into major details about how scary the Pokemon world can be. With the the information about each Pokemon. So I've always wanted a game that goes to that extent. And I feel like majority of like Nintendo and GameFreak's like audience are people who grew up with Pokemon, like through the original games up to now, and those people that still like Pokemon are fatigued, just like how I am. I'm just fatigued. I just can't have that same hype for Pokemon games. But Legends changed all that. And the reason why is it wasn't just because it was a 3D roaming Pokemon game, because that's one thing, but the combat, you were also in trouble. Like, your actual person would get attacked by the Pokemon, and every Pokemon would have like their own like unique way of reacting to you. Some of them would run away from you, some of them would run up to you and be curious about you, and then there would be ones that just would want to kill you. And I remember playing the game and seeing the Snorlax that was the alpha Snorlax or whatever, and it like hyper beamed me, or it did the hyper speed and went so fast at me. I terrified me. Like, did that Snorlax just go Mach speed at me? Like, and I fainted. And then not even that, like because these are wild Pokemon. The battling was, they didn't follow any rules. You would have like 3 Pokemon against your 1 in the wild. And you would have like these, like the turn-based also change, where you had like fast or strong. fast moves were less like strong, but they allowed you to do multiple attacks. And then you had the strength ones, which were strong, but you would like lose a turn. And so you had to really like think about your combat and everything. And the big one is just the exploring the area and seeing all the Pokemon and throwing the Pokeball at them like you actually had to aim the Pokeball, and like you had to like hit them into the back of the head or whatever. So you would have to sometimes distract them and such. And like I said, you had these alphas that were like really scary, where you definitely had to battle them to catch them. Like you could battle the Pokemon in the wild too and catch them that way, but you could just simply just throw a Pokeball and you can chance your luck on just catching them just like that. And plus, like, catching multiple Pokemon was fun because you had these like challenges with the Pokedex where you would get you had to do like these individual like things, and for each Pokemon to complete your Pokedex, it wasn't just like, oh, catch the Pokemon and then that's it. You had all these like little individual challenges, which gave you like essentially like XP that allowed you to level up and start getting like new Pokeballs that you can make. And that was the other thing, is there was crafting. There was actually a reason to use your Pokemon to help you like, you know, get berries off a tree, or, you know, get some, you know, rocks or whatever, like to like just materials to help you make these Pokeballs. Like, yes, that was awesome. Crafting and Pokemon. Like, you're out in the wilderness, and this was obviously it was a prequel, like way in the past, where like, you know, like it was like the start of Pokeballs being created, and, you know, Pokemon and humans working together and such. Like, it was such a like cool concept. And like you came through time travel from Arceus to the past, and yeah, like the story was also really like interesting. You know, my main issues with the game was just, yes, definitely the engine, or the, you know, the Nintendo Switch wasn't really making the game run that well. And there was like certain areas where it's just like, oh, it looks a little rough, but it looked pretty good for the most part. And plus, I just hate the idea that there's just no voice acting still for Pokemon. Like, use the anime voices. Like, you know, when you do your show, like, have them do the voices for the in-game characters as well. I'm so tired of just the text on screen every single time. Like, it was cute back then, but now it's just like, okay, can we get some voice acting in here? But it was just really good. Now, with that being said, I am struggling to understand what has happened from Pokemon Legends Arceus on its feedback, and then where Pokemon ZA is going. What is... So, ZA does look pretty fun. I mean, the specifically on the combat, I like how they're doing this real-time battling. You're not just like stuck in place. You actually can dodge with your Pokemon. You know, you can do like surprise attacks and stuff. They're bringing back Mega Evolutions, and it looks cool. Like, it genuinely looks cool. But it's like they saw Pokemon Legends and they were just like, with everybody that liked it, like me, they were just like, oh, they just like the 3D battling. They like that. Okay, let's focus on that primarily. Because when I first heard that it was going to be the city from Pokemon X and Y, and they showed the teaser, a lot of people were like, wait, huh? Like, wait, it's the next game is going to be in the city? That doesn't sound like a very exploring kind of Pokemon Legends game like the first one. But then everyone was like, oh, well, maybe it's like before, because again, like Pokemon Legends Arceus was like way in the past. Maybe this is like the origin of the city. Like, so it starts with just like a village, and it's still got wilderness out there that you explore and go on missions. It's not, and then Nintendo and Game Freak doubled down and told everyone, no, it's gonna be in the city only. Like, okay, well, maybe there'll still be some areas that are very forest-like and stuff, and other environments, and it'll be fine. And then they showed off the gameplay, and I'm disappointed. Like, I'm still, curious about playing it because the combat looks nice, but it's like they looked at Pokemon Legends Arceus and was like, oh, this is what the players mainly like. So let's take out all these other innovations that we had in the first one and change it. Like, it doesn't even feel like a Pokemon Legends game anymore, because what I assumed, I know that this is the second game. It's not like, you can't be like, oh, every game was exactly supposed to be this when it's just going off of the first. And that's the only game that they made. But when I see Pokemon Legends, I assume that it's based on like going in the past and dealing with whatever legendary Pokemon from that like region or such, and like, because everyone was assuming the next game was gonna be like Celebi or something, so it was like a Johto Legends game. And I remember seeing like fan-made like concepts of it, and I was like, this would be so cool. And then we got this instead, the ZA. But I wasn't seeing any crafting. What instantly put my smile into a frown of disappointment was when they showed the wild zones or whatever, where there's wild Pokemon roaming around, and they press the button to throw the ball, and they didn't have to aim it. There was no really that much like mechanics of just hey, you gotta craft the Pokeball, and you gotta sneak, and you gotta actually aim, you gotta go behind the bushes and stuff, and throw some berries to distract them. It was just like I was looking at Pokemon Go gameplay. Just back to the original concept of throwing a Pokeball, which is just you press the button and there it goes. And it was nice to see, like, at least like when you're battling the Pokemon, if they lose all their health, they don't just faint and disappear. You can still throw a Pokeball at them when they're like at 0 health, which I've always never understood that. Like, if the Pokemon's fainted, you should be able to catch it. That's what happens in the anime. Why does it just, okay, it's gone. You killed it in the wild. But still, it's just, and then there's no like alphas. They're replaced with the mega evolutions. It seems like I'm not seeing any, oh, this is an alpha version, so it's stronger and it's larger and it's scarier. Like, I also didn't really feel much of the threat of your trainer. I don't even know if there is, like, if you can get attacked and faint or whatever. Maybe I would have to like really like digest the trailer more, but it's like they're like, this is just gonna be Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It's not like the original Legends. And I think that the original Legends was a partnership with another studio, and I'm gonna assume that a lot of those mechanics that I enjoyed in the first one were primarily because of that partnered studio. Because why is it not in this one? Like, at that point, again, they should have just didn't call it a Legends game. But they were just like, they were going off the hype of the title, I guess, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do this. This is why I'm just so disappointed. And what makes it worse is I'm like now thinking, okay, all those unique environments are out the door too. That was the other thing that was so, like, even if the environments didn't look, as good as like more like modern open world games that you see nowadays, it was still nice that you had these different areas that were pretty different from each other. I mean, you had like a beach, you had a forest, you had the snowy area, like you had a volcano. Like, where all that's gone now. And it's just going to be a city with parks that you just walk through, I guess. And I mean, even the boss battles in the original Pokemon Legends, where you had these alpha Pokemon and you actually had mechanics where you had to dodge and you had to throw the whatever powder stuff to like calm them down, and then you would have moments like to battle them to weaken them and stuff. Like, those parts were also very interesting, and I don't know if they're gonna have that with this one either. It's like I said, it's like they simplified everything back to where we the same issues that we all had with Pokemon, where the innovations weren't there anymore. It's now going back to the basics and focusing on those with small little, like, innovations here and there. Like I said, the combat, being real time and whatever, like, it's nice and such. Like, it's just it looks like this game is more focused on battling. And I was like, at this point when I was watching it, I was like, why don't you just call this a Pokemon Coliseum game then? That was a series that, I mean, a lot of people would be fine with those, like, games coming back, like, in the sense of, like, a series. Like, why not be Pokemon Coliseum ZA? Not Pokemon Legends? I don't know. Like I said, it's just, I've had all this, like, excitement of the future of Pokemon because they were finally doing stuff that I really wanted in a Pokemon game, and now they're going backwards. It feels. I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong when the game comes out, and I'll be like, this is actually really, really good. Like, I'm fine that it's not Pokemon Legends Arceus, but I still, like, a lot of those things that Pokemon Legends Arceus had was why I really enjoyed it. I wasn't, like, laser focused on just the battling. I liked the exploring, the different environments, the Pokédex system with the different challenges, with the crafting, the alphas that you're actually in trouble. like when you lose your Pokemon, it's not like, oh, you faint and you go back to the village. No, you gotta run and extract. Like, you have to get out of there. You're running away from these Pokemon. Like, it was so cool. And I don't know. Like, that's kind of why a lot of Pokemon, like, fans that have grew up with the games switched to playing Pal World. Not because, like, it's got guns. Like, Pokemon doesn't need guns to make it, like, good and fun, but it had those things that people wanted in a Pokemon game. The exploring, the you actually can get harmed by the Pokemon, the real-time battling, the crafting, the being able to build your base and stuff. Like, I just, and instead of like I mentioned in my previous video talking about the Pal World versus Nintendo thing, instead of Nintendo taking it as like let's make this a friendly competition, like, we're gonna try and do stuff too, like that, let people like from Pal World and do it in our games. Instead, they're just doing stupid patent attacks at Pal World to smother them and just get rid of the competition, which, like, without going into, like, just turning it into a rant about that again, is ridiculous. Like, I still, like, I find it funny that they blatantly took the Digimon thing, where you, like, Mega Evolutions, when they first were shown, I was like, wait, they're gonna add evolutions? Oh, they're temporary evolutions. That's straight up Digimon. Like, and it's okay when Nintendo does it, but if someone, does it in return, and then we're gonna have problems. Like, oh my goodness. Like, it's almost like they are worried that Pokemon ZA is not gonna do as well as they are going to be hoping it will. Even though I feel like it's still going to sell like crazy, like millions of copies and stuff. I mean, I'm still going to be getting it because I do like Pokemon Legends, and I did like the gameplay of this one. I actually did enjoy Scarlet and Violet, even though that game ran like I was playing it off of a potato. And but I still liked the little innovations of the, you know, being an open world, and you have the Pokemon out in the wild and such, and then you have like the different, okay, you can do the gym battles, you have these boss battles, and then you have the Team Rocket-esque kind of bases that you can also do, and you can do it whatever order that you want. And I thought that was nice. I did. Like, obviously, you know, quality and, you know, how the game's performance was aside, like I was like, okay, I can get around a mainline Pokemon game like this and be fine with it. But Legends, like I said, my expectations for that series will always be the foundation of Arceus. Having all of those features that Arceus had, but taking it a step further for the next game. But like I said, they're taking away things for the ZA, it seems. 100% they are. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I hope that when the game releases, I'll be really wrong on my feelings, and I'll be like, this is actually a really, really good game, and I want to play tons of hours of it. But as it stands now, I'm concerned. I really am. So, yeah, that's that. I also will say, like, because how I mentioned, I believe that the original Pokemon Legends game was partnered with another studio. I feel like Nintendo needs, not should, they need to start branching out their IP of Pokemon to other studios to create unique games more often. And I think that they should really look back at that team for another Pokemon Legends game or something, because again, they were doing a great job, clearly. But it's just it's disappointing that I don't get what GameFreak is doing, where it's just like they're just allergic to the idea of trying to make huge innovations for Pokemon going forward. Like, they're just like, well, it's gonna print money, so who cares? But I just want to see some more unique games in the Pokemon universe. Like I said, I would love for there to be a Pokemon, you know, open world like Arc. Basically what Pow World is, just obviously wouldn't have weapons and stuff. But you could just have it where you use your Pokemon as a means, you know, of obviously protection and stuff, and you can use them to help your base. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, that's where I'm feeling. I'm just concerned. You know, I hope that I do end up enjoying it regardless, but yeah. But I want to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like, am I just talking crazy and, you know, it looks phenomenal? Or do you agree with what I'm talking about in this video with a lot of the things like that? It's just disappointing that they're not going to be in the sequel when it was in the first one. So, I don't know. But regardless, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a chibi-tastic day, night, evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video. Chibi out.